compared to the Sahaba we should make an ambition that in this year we would we would try our best to implement the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in our lives. In terms of our behavior, in terms of our look, in terms of our akhlaq, in terms of our ibadat, in every aspect we would try to implement the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his lifestyle in our lives. Now, at the beginning of the year, usually a person makes an ambition, takes an oath that, in this year I want to accomplish these things. So this should be our main goal, our main priority to bring in the life of the Prophet ﷺ in our practice and in our day-to-day life. Now, where this aspect of hijrah, the years that we have established, the calendar that we have, when was it established and how was it established? This is a very important discussion and a very important matter that many Muslims don't know about. Despite the fact that it has to do with our culture, it has to do with our deen, it has to do with preserving our deen and our culture. So if we look back at the time of Umar radiallahu anhu, at the time when this Hijri calendar was not established, if we look back at that and we see why it was established, it was to remove any doubt and any confusion that was to take place in worldly matters and in deen matters. We know at the time of the Prophet ﷺ's Hajjat al-Wida, the Prophet ﷺ told us that the calendar has gone back to the time where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the sequence that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had originally prescribed it as. Because the mushrikeen, they would tamper with the calendar, because of which their ibadat would be messed up, their mu'amalat would be messed up, and all their day-to-day activities were out of order because of them messing around with the calendar. Now once the Prophet ﷺ told the Sahaba that the calendar is now at its right place and in its right sequence, it was important to keep that intact and to keep that in place, because of which Umar radiallahu anhu and the Sahaba, they consulted, they sat down, and they had a mashwara as to how they should establish and they should design this calendar. So there was a lot of communication and opinions of the different Sahaba. Some people said we should establish it with the birth of the Prophet ﷺ. Some people said some Sahaba said we establish it with the demise of the Prophet ﷺ. Other Sahaba, from whom was Umar Ali radiallahu anhu and Umar radiallahu anhu also, they said we should do it from the time of Hijrah. Why? Because there was no confusion as to when the Hijrah of the Prophet ﷺ took place. There was confusion as to when the Prophet ﷺ was born, because at that time the calendar was mixed up. There was also confusion as to when the Prophet ﷺ passed away, because some people found out about it at a certain time, other people found out about it at a different time. There were some rumors that went around also. But Hijrah, everybody was certain about. So they established it for that day. In another narration, it says that if I'm not, Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, he received a letter of zakat that he collected, and it was supposed to be for Sha'ban, and that it was a check. It was written for Sha'ban that it was for this year's Sha'ban. But he forgot as to which year it was for, whether it was for this year, last year, or the year before that. So there was some confusion. So he consulted Umar radiallahu anhu as to how they should reconcile this problem. So they came to this conclusion that they will establish an Islamic calendar around which their ibadat, their mu'amalat, everything will revolve around. So today, alhamdulillah, until today, that calendar has been preserved. But this calendar needs to be given importance to, because this isn't only about our deen and our mu'amalat, it also has to do with the Islamic history that we have today. If we look back and if we look at ourselves today, none of us can say we know the history of anyone before two ancestors of ours. Forget the history, the Islamic history that took place between us and the Prophet ﷺ. It is the loss of this history that has resulted in our deen being decreased. It is this loss of history that has influenced our culture from being pushed away from us, and other people's cultures being influenced upon us. It is this loss of history that we do not have such familial connections, and They could name they knew every single person in their tribe and their locality and how they were related to them, whether it was a first connection, second connection, or it doesn't matter how far the relationship was, they could tell how I'm related to this person. So it has to do with, and it all revolves around the calendar. If I know when what happened at this time, in this year, what happened, what my father, what my parents went through, and we remember the afflictions and the problems that would take place upon us, it would keep us closer to our deen. It would remind us of what calamities come upon us when we go away from deen. What calamities come upon us when we indulge with the enemy. What calamities come upon us when we do not fulfill our ibadat, when we do not fulfill the rights of the people and the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if we would know our calendar, our history, and we were to remember what is going on throughout the world and in Islamic history, we would remember this, our deen would be stronger. Our muamalat and the way that we remember our family, it would all grow stronger, and our family connections would grow a lot stronger also. So the hatred and the animosity and the problems that are going on in this world wouldn't exist to this level as they are today. We would not be thrown at the enemy's feet because we do not know what happened in the past and how our forefathers were set in the same traps and how and the problems that they had to deal with. So this is very important, and for this we should go back and learn Islamic history. Not only do we learn American history as the kids are taught in school, we should also make an ambition to teach our kids Islamic history, history of our forefathers, history of our country, wherever background you come from. Make sure you teach your kids that, because that will preserve your culture, that will preserve your language, that will preserve your deen in the future. Make sure you know your history, make sure you know your culture, and the Islamic calendar that we have today is knowing what happened throughout the year and in which era of time would help us in doing that. Now, this calendar, the first month that comes in it is the month of Muharram. The month of Muharram is one of the most sacred months. It is one of the 4 months that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has declared sacred in the Quran. And it is this month in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in which the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he would take it upon himself to fast as much as possible. And if we look back into history again, we would see that so many incidents took place in Muharram itself. You know, so many incidents took place within the month of Muharram, going back from the time of Adam alayhi salam till past beyond the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, incidents that have happened between that to prophets, to Muslims, and to many other religions. The month of Muharram is a very sacred month, not only for the Muslims, but also for the Yahud and the Nasara. Because of all the incidents that took place, all the ni'mas of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that were sent down upon the people, upon Musa alayhi salam, upon Isa alayhi salam, and upon Adam alayhi salam also, the forgiveness of Adam alayhi salam, the favors given to Musa alayhi salam and Bani Israel, and also those favors of those virtues that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prescribed for the month of Muharram, and specifically the day of Ashura. Today according to the Islamic calendar is the 7th of Muharram. So the day of Ashura falls on Monday. The day of Ashura, the 10th of Muharram, falls on Monday. So now, many cultures and many religions, they would consider this month and this day to be very sacred, because of which they would fast on this day. So the Yahud and the Nasara today, not only them, the Mushrikeen at the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we find in a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam as to how the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam fasted in the month of Muharram, and how he took it upon himself throughout his life to fast on the day of Ashura. It is narrated from Ibn Abbas who said that I have not seen the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam giving importance to any fast except for this month and this day. And this month, he was referring to the month of Ramadan. The importance that he would give to the virtue of the fast in the month of Ramadan, and the importance that he would give to the virtues of the fast of Yom Ashura was not compared to anything else. So the best month to fast in is the month of Ramadan. Ramadan, the best day to fast in is Yom Ashura. And we see this for the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So if we look back at the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we'll see that in the month of Muharram, before he migrated to Medina, when he was in Makkah, he would fast on his own. He would never command the Sahaba, but he would always fast on his own because the Muslims would also do it, and he knew also the virtues that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put upon this month. But he would never command other people to do it because fasting was not ordained at that time. Fasting was not ordained at that time. And even Nawafil were not very popular amongst the Sahaba at that time. When they were in Makkah, fasting wasn't a very common thing. So the Prophet ﷺ would keep to himself and fast by himself in Makkah on Yom Ashura. Then when he migrated to Medina, he started commanding the Sahaba himself that make sure you fast. And until this time, the month of Ramadan was not prescribed as the faridah upon all the Muslims. So that he would tell all the Sahaba and would emphasize to them to fast on this day. Once the month of Ramadan was prescribed, he stopped telling people to fast on this day, but the Sahaba will still fast on that day because they knew the virtue for that. Then finally, when it was close to the demise of the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet ﷺ, he made sure that he wouldn't fast on Ashura by itself, but he would accompany it with a day before or after it. And he said specifically, خَالِفُ الْيَهُودَ وَالنَّصَارَى. Be different and change your habit with the habit of the Yahud and Nasara. Because the Yahud and Nasara, they would fast on this day, and they would say to the Muslims that how come your prophet, he claims to be on a deen and he follows our Sharia. How does he do this? And he follows our Sharia, he follows our prophet. That means he is imitating them. He is not a prophet himself. So they would make these excuses, and also the Prophet ﷺ wanted to teach the Muslims of that time that following the Yahud and the Nasara is not a hujjah in this deen. It was not something that we were supposed to follow. We were supposed to follow this deen because the Prophet ﷺ himself told us to do it, or he did it himself. Not because we found the Yahud and Nasara doing it, the Musa alayhi salam and the Yahud, they were told to do this, so maybe there's something because of this we should do it. No, if the Prophet ﷺ told us to do it, then we do it only in that case. So we learn from this very important point that not only is our opposition of the Yahud and Nasara necessary in Yom Ashura, but it's also necessary in our day-to-day lives. That when we, for example, in the sunnahs of the Prophet ﷺ, and in our day-to-day lives, in our habits, we must stay and stick to the Sharia of the Prophet ﷺ, not to that of the Yahud and Nasara. Because, an example of this, we see that Umar before that, the Prophet ﷺ, when there was a time when a Sahabi, if I'm not wrong, it was Umar himself, he came and he was reading the Injil, and he came to the Prophet ﷺ, and he told the Prophet ﷺ about something he had read, and the Prophet ﷺ, his face turned red. He said, how can it be that your Nabi is amongst you, and you're reading the scriptures of the people that came before you, of the Nabis that came before you, showing that once the Sharia of the Prophet ﷺ was ordained upon the people and made necessary upon the people, no other Sharia, no other scripture or any customs could have any impact and could be implemented by the Muslims in their lives. Sharia of the Prophet ﷺ is what we live by in every aspect of our lives. So we see later on in his own khilafah, if you would see that the Yahud would dress in a certain manner, he would dress in a separate manner. If you would see that they were eating a certain food in a certain way, he would say, do it different from them. In every aspect, he would oppose them. Why? Because later on, the nations that would come after them, they would go further and they would go astray further, thinking that what they do is correct, thinking that what they do could be be correct in their Sharia, but we were not supposed to believe that. Therefore, the Prophet ﷺ, he said that at the end of time, there will be so much corruption that you will follow the Yahud and Nasara in every step that they do, so much so that if they were to enter the hole of a lizard, you would also enter that hole. Meaning that there will be so much influence of the Yahud and Nasara upon us, there will be so much impact of theirs upon us, and we would be so astonished by their actions, and we would love their actions so much that we would follow them in every aspect of our lives. And we can see that amongst ourselves today. Me, myself, and the Muslims around the world today, we are so influenced by the Yahud and Nasara and their fabrications and their bad habits that today our deen is lost from us. All our customs of our deen, most of our symbols and our values are being lost because we do not give them value that they deserve. We give value to the customs of the Yahud and Nasara, and we follow their actions, and we leave out the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. When our success was declared by the Prophet ﷺ in this ittiba, in the ittiba of the Prophet ﷺ. And the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned this in many hadith, as along with many ayat of the Quran that tell us that follow the Prophet ﷺ himself. وَمَا أَعْتَاكُمُ الرَّسُولُ فَخُذُوهُ وَأَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ. Many instances in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He connects His obedience with the obedience of the Prophet ﷺ, showing that the only way we can be successful in this world, in our lives today and in the hereafter, will be in complete obedience and submission to the sunnah and the actions of the Prophet ﷺ. Therefore, because of this ittiba and because of this obedience to the Prophet ﷺ, we see that in the Quran, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the Sahaba, He says, وَالسَّابِقُونَ الْأَوَّلُونَ مِنَ الْمُهَاجِرِينَ وَالْأَنصَارِ. The people that came at the beginning, from the Muhajirin and Ansar, meaning the initial Muslims at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, وَالَّذِينَ اتَّبَعُوهُمْ بِإِحْسَانٍ, and those who followed them with perfection. The way the Prophet ﷺ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He talks about the generations after them, He doesn't just say the people that came after them. He didn't say the people that came after. He said those who followed them bi-ihsan, with perfection. And that shows us that if they were to follow the Sahaba with perfection, that means the Sahaba must have imitated the Prophet ﷺ also with perfection. And if we follow and because of their perfection in obedience to the Prophet ﷺ, and the tabi'een's obedience of the Sahaba who were following the Prophet ﷺ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala follows it after that. He says, رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُمْ وَرَضُوا عَنْهُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with them, and they are pleased with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَأَعَدَّ لَهُمْ جَنَّاتٍ. And so, therefore, it shows that the success of our life in this world and the hereafter is in the obedience of the life and the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and his customs only, his sunnah, his akhlaq, his mu'amalat, and every aspect of our life should be like the Prophet ﷺ. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to be from those who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls radiyallahu anhu wa radu anhu because of our ittiba' to the Prophet ﷺ. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this month a month of our istighfar, but our fast and our siyam and our qiyam, and a means for our entering into Jannah al-Firdaus. بارك الله لنا ولكم في القرآن العظيم ونفعنا وإياكم بالآيات والذكر الحكيم. أستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين.
The brother who has a card 6G44, please remove it ASAP because it's double blocked and it's blocking the way. This is not something that we want. This is not the advertisement that we want to give to the masjid. Please, brother, go and remove your card. Please, thank you.
الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله وعليكم بالسنة فإن السنة تهدي إلى الإطاعة ومن أطاع الله ورسوله فقد رشد واهتدى وإياكم والبدعة فإن البدعة تهدي إلى المعصية ومن يعص الله ورسوله فقد ضل وغوى وعليكم بالصدق فإن الصدق ينجي والكذب يهلك وعليكم بالإحسان فإن الله يحب المحسنين ولا تتبعوا الدنيا فتكونوا من الخاسرين ألا وإن نفسا لن تموت حتى تستكمل رزقها فاتقوا الله وأجملوا في الطلب وتوكلوا عليه فإن الله يحب المتوكلين وادعوه فإن ربكم مجيب الداعين واستغفروه يمددكم بأموال وبنين أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وقال ربكم ادعوني أستجب لكم إن الذين يستكبرون عن عبادتي سيدخلون جهنم داخلين بارك الله لنا ولكم في القرآن العظيم ونفعنا وإياكم بالآيات والذكر الحكيم أستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد بعدد من صلى وصام اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد بعدد من قعد وقام وصل على جميع الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى كل ملائكة المقربين وعلى عباد الله الصالحين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين عباد الله رحمكم الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون ولذكر الله تعالى أعلى وأولى وأعز وأجل وأتم وأهم وأكبر أقيم الصلاة
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
Somebody left the yellow cameras there.
الله أكبر الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا لا يتخذ المؤمنون الكافرين أولياء من دون المؤمنين ومن يفعل ذلك فليس من الله في شيء إلا أن تتقوا منهم تقاه قل إن كنتم تحبون الله فاتبعوني يحببكم الله ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم والله غفور رحيم قل أطيعوا الله والرسول فإن تولوا فإن الله لا يحب الكافرين. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First, thank you, brother, for this khutbah. May Allah